gonna finally test out the best balancer that ever was. We're gonna see as soon as the dog gets out. And this is what comes out of the packaging. All right, so we got the main part, which is the balancer, and you have this cool little whirly nut gig thing that you use to adjust where it's at. It has a bubble level, and it doesn't say anything in there other than just, you know, putting it in that spot right there. It's got two big long carbon tubes, and the note that was in the carbon tube little container was that you need to use some 2K epoxy glue to glue the two 4mm carbon tubes together. Insert the 2mm rod, which is a metal rod, in between the two pieces and glue it together and make sure it's straight as it's doing it. So there is the first task, other than looking up the manuals on YouTube. There's two of them. The first one is for main blades, the second one is for tail blades. But first we got to get this thing glued together, which is going to take some time. So, this shit stinks. But I'm going to use some JB Weld. I mean, I'm sure you could glue these two things and this little rod that goes in between them like that. I'm sure you could use CA, but every time I've ever done carbon rod stuff, I like using JB Weld, so that's what we're gonna do. All right, well, I have my glue epoxy drying on my shaft. I thought I'd play with the tail rotor blades. So the procedure is you weigh them, and then you would cut a piece of tape that is the difference of the weight. But these, I could not get them any closer than 0.2 of a gram. And that was the closest I could get it. And they're just not, I can't get a piece of tape small enough. I was like, trying to try this. I was like, yeah. But, so I thought, let me just see how they balance. So I got the first one in. You can see the bubble is on there. You take one of the screws that comes with it, put it up to the bottom, put it on there. And let me show you the other blade, because this was supposed to be the heavy one. Get in there. And just like that, they're both dead nuts centered on. So I'm not going to worry about the 0.2 of a gram. I'm surprised because I got paint and I got stuff coming off, because the paint's so thick that when I put it in to the blade holder, it's actually kind of chewing it off. So far, that is where I've gotten them. And you know, you put the first blade on and you get it balanced with the little screw thing there, and put it on, and then you put the other one on, and then you would put your tape on here wherever it needed to be to get that to balance. But I guess 0.2 of a gram is just too small of a margin, because they are both balanced. They both exactly on there. Let's get out of here. Let's go build something else. All right, so I'm trying to balance my biggest blades. These are the llama blades. So I had to do some finagling, because the bolt that comes with the kit is not big enough for the holes in the blade. These are 5mm hole, and I've only got a 4mm bolt. So in order to get it to fit in the rod, I had made up these aluminum spacers to help fill the gap in the hole, so I can put 4mm bolt in there and actually use it on the thing. So I've got this. This is my heaviest blade, number 3 blades, 364.2 grams. And you can see the other two were lighter. So I got the difference, and I made up the tape. This is on one blade, this is on another. So yeah, this is going to be interesting to figure out how I can do this. Okay, so I got there. Now all I got to do is, I can't see the mark for the blade, but it's on this bearing that's right here. That is the CG point on this blade. So I'll mark it there, and then we'll match the other two in there and see if this is the greatest, bestest, most coolest thing ever. All right, and there we go. We got our next blade, which is, I'm putting on number 2. And it takes 2 grams of tape to balance to the weight. So I have the carbon rod never moves. It's set in place. You disconnect the blade from the carbon rod underneath there and then put it on. And then what you do is you take your tape, and I have it on the CG of the cord wise, you know, kind of where it would balance on that way, and moved it back and forth until I got it dead nuts on the bubble. So now this blade should theoretically be weight balanced and CG balanced against the number 3 blade, which is my heaviest. And now that I got the blade out, and this blade is exactly the width of this thing. I cannot put any wider blades on there. Now that I got the tape down, I take and I go and I burnish it all down. I try to get as many air pockets out of it as I can. All right, this one was a little tricky. So when I took off the old tape on here, you can kind of see it down underneath there. Come on, focus, you POS. You can see where some of the paint came off of the red. So I took the total weight of the stuff that I had for this blade, which would be 3.1 grams. And I wrapped a red piece of tape on there and put it back on there and took off the weight of the red tape that I had to put on here to cover it up. And now we're going to see where the balance point is for this one. And these blades, they barely fit in this this thing. I mean, literally, it's touching like both sides of it. All right, so I got the lightest blade on here. It is the most heaviest out on the end. So just because the weights are the same does not mean that they will balance. So now what I got to do is I got to put this whole piece of tape on here and get it balanced on the thing. That way they're all the same for all 3 of those blades. Okay, so here is a prime example of when shit's weird. This is my lightest blade. It was 3.1 grams lighter than the heaviest blade. So then I had to put a piece of tape on this end, but you can see, because that's taped way out there, the balancing weight to get the weights the same, the CG is now way over here on this one, whereas compared to this one, to get the CG the same with the same amount of weight, the correct weight from number 2, which is 2 grams, to the number 3 blade, that CG is way out over here with that particular amount of weight. So this will be interesting to see, because now I've got to balance them just on a little pivot point to see where the CGs are, if they're all the same, because they're all marked from the thing on here, and we're gonna see if it is the same, and then we're gonna weigh them and see if they are correct. Yeah, let's hope. Well, I screwed up already. First thing I should have done was taken the rod out and balanced this part, because now I went in and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find my CG. Well, you can see my marks and you can see where it's balancing on the CG. So now everything is off. So I got to start completely over. At least I have the weights of the stuff. That's not going to change, just where the CG is. So I got to start all over again. And first thing I got to do is take the carbon rod off, and then I got to balance this thing. Yeah, shit. All right, now I got it balanced. That's right on there. Now I can put my big blade in here and redo the CG on it. Oh, God damn it. All right, now I've got the blade in, and I have the little thing loose so that I can adjust it back and forth to get it to balance on the bubble, so that it is all the shit's balanced. You got to start off with it balanced first, and that's what I did wrong. All right, so now I've got an issue. So here's what it was. So you can see the marks. This is the original mark when it was on the balancer. This is the CG that I get when I put it on a high point and just let it teeter and balance. Now, they're all identical to how far they are off. I'm wondering what the hell I'm doing wrong. So I'm rewatching the video over and over again, trying to see if I did something goofy. But I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that, you know, I'm balancing it with this big old screw and stuff, but it normally would have a screw over there. It's supposed to be the same. And even starting with the number 2 blade, I just threw it back on there, and it balances right on there. So I'm not sure why the CG is off on this as compared to when I'm doing it on straight edge. But yeah, it's kind of goofy. I'm just curious as to what the hell's going on. But thankfully, they're all about the same on the CG on that one, and they're all the same on CG on this one. So the only thing I can think of is that it's the difference in weight of this bolt and spacer, because I'm not measuring it with that. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll put that on in every one of those and put it on there and see if that, let me see. All right, interesting little tidbits. So these are the original marks from the Koll Balancer. And here are the ones for me putting it on a high point and just letting them balance. This one right here is where I put it with the bolt in there and the spacer. So not a big difference, but there is an equal distance on all those on the CG. So I don't get it, but they're all the same. So I am going to go with it for now, and we'll throw it on the llama and we'll see how they do. But they're all back into weights, and you can see, you know, this one was a little bit more, but it got more weight. It got 1.5 grams difference between when I measured it there and when I measured it there. So, but they're all real close. All right, so I've got an issue that I just found today. If you look at my blade grips, they look a little roasted. And that would be because of my new exhaust. And you can kind of see it right there. If I line it up, it's kind of going off to the right of the helicopter, which means it is sending it right onto my tail rotor. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to twist that exhaust so it kind of tilts that way. But in order to do that, I've got to pull all of these bolts, and I'd have to re-drill it, and I'd have to index this whole thing, because this is all one piece that goes all the way up to the turbine. And I had to move. This is actually bolted onto this one here. So that's what I'm attempting to do. And then also I have to redo the spot where the EGT tube goes in, because you can already see we had to modify it just a little bit just to get it to be in there. I can't get this thing to focus. You can see where we had to modify it a little bit in order to get the EGT tube to be in there. So we're gonna see if we can't fix that so it doesn't cook my tail blades and my tail rotor anymore. So we're gonna try to get it so that the air comes down this side instead of that side. So what we're gonna do is, the idea is to turn this way so that it's got a little bit of a tilt. So instead of it sending down that side of the tail boom, it might send it down this side of the tail boom. That's the theory. That's what we're gonna do. First test is I just moved the screws that go into this part on this ring I just rotated it around to see if I could do it without re-drilling any holes. So this would be the new position if I did that. The problem is you can see, is now it's heading kind of down. It's in the right direction. It's over on this side. But this thing is going to go right onto this one, and this is going to get cooked. And this one's already getting heated up as it was in the original position. So that's not going to work. What I really need is I need this to be positioned about right there. You can see the angle goes up, but also it goes to the left a little bit more than normal. So actually what I need is about right there. So what I got to do now is I loosened up, I took out all the screws out of the ring, and I'm going to rotate the ring, drill new holes for the screws to go into the stainless, and then remount it. And I'll have to fix all this stuff. This actually is too bright of a color. The original on the full size is very dulled and almost rusty looking, so that'll get fixed. All right, so I scored. I don't have to drill anything. So what I did is I just moved the 3 screws that hold it in. And then the one that holds in the, I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that's where the tube comes from, the filter on there or something like that. But the original one for it is this hole right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to drill into anymore. I just rotated it around, and it lines up perfectly with the angle that I need. Now the only problem is once I get it on, I've got to make a notch for the EGT tube, which is not a big deal. But how I had to line it up was put these two together right there. I put them as close together as lined up as I can, and then line up that hole there on the spot right there. Once I get that lined up, then I will know where to mark for where the EGT tube, where the EGT has got to get a notch put in it. So, score, I don't have to drill anything, and maybe this will get figured out and finished. All right, so this is the last screw. Now there's no hole up into this like there is for all the others, but I've got this almost tight, and it's starting to push up into the stainless steel. You can see right there. So I got to pull this out and trim it down a little bit so it's just long enough to get in there and hold these 2 supports that come down to these 2 points tight, and we should be ready to go. But I mean, even just with that, you can see the angle is, you know, off to the left of the helicopter. So hopefully it won't be so bad of a, you know, exhaust temp impingement on the tail rotor here. It'll be more over on this side. All right, and now we have it all installed, tightened, pretty, at a good angle. So you can kind of see the angle now is kind of off to this side over here. And we will test it out tomorrow and see how hot this one gets, and this gets, and that gets. It used to be, you know, when I had the stock exhaust on, this was always hot, but it wasn't too bad. It was usually like right here. When I put this exhaust on and it was tilted over that side, this one got super hot. And then I noticed that the paint was getting melted off on here. So hopefully with it over on that side, most of it will come kind of over here and only catch part of this, and not so much the tail blades, and it might get this, but you know, we'll see. We just got to test it and see how it does. We're also going to test out the fact that I use the Koll Rotor Pro Balancer on the main blades for this, and you can see the tape that I've had to put on here to get these to balance and weight and CG and all that kind of good stuff. That's another test. We also did the tail blades at the same time, got them balanced and CG'd and all that kind of good stuff. So they were really close. And yeah, so we'll check this out tomorrow. Hot damn. Well, this has been a disaster of a night. So come to find out, my life packs that I used for running the radio in the llama, one of the packs was really weird. It had a high voltage, like 7.65 volts. Not supposed to be that high. So I like, nah, I'm done with the life packs. So, okay, I got a couple of 2S's to get in here. Well, there's what's left of one of the 2S's that was in the MD600. So one of them was still good. One of them was bad. So the bad one gets clipped. It's down to one cell. And I'm not even going to trust doing anything with it. The other one seemed to be working just fine. So it's in there. And then I found another 2S pack so that I can fit in there and get this tested until I can purchase some new matched 2S lipo packs for in here. But everything is working right. I got it all soldered and weird and all kinds of, you know, it's freaking 11:24. I'm working on this little project of figuring out why my shit and batteries are all weird for, I don't know, 3 hours. But now I have a system that works, and I've got a battery switch in here that's also a regulator from power systems or power box systems, something like that. But it's old enough that I can't find any information on it. But I know that it puts out 6.6 volts no matter what I am plugging into it, because I had, you know, one of my life packs was still good at like 7 volts. So I plugged it in, 7 volts. Output was 6.09. Plugged in a LiPo, which was 8.1, and it still put out 6.09 volts at the receiver. So I know that's a regulator on that. And then I let it sit here and be plugged in and on, and nothing was overheating and anything like that. So we'll take it out for a test spin tomorrow and test all the other shit that I was doing. Oh, damn, I still got to fix my O-ring in there. I got to take that off right now and get that cleaned off because that was all dirty and smudgy. But, you know, I'm testing out the balance of the blades. You know, I just want to see the damn thing fly and see if it's different with the balanced blades on the Koll Pro Balancer. So now I got to go back to work and get that thing fixed before I go to bed. All right. It wasn't dirty at all. It just, you know, was sparkly clean. No wonder why the damn thing was spinning without spinning the turbine. So we got this all cleaned up. It's all ready to go. I test spun it with the controller and no slippage, no nothing. So there we go. We are all clean. We're all good. We're ready for tomorrow to test out our blades and our batteries. Yeah, that's going to be a fun one tomorrow. Well, morning's starting out just peachy Dean Keno fuck from last night. So I went and I put all the stuff in there, got out, walked out to the truck. It was freaking windy already. I'm like, oh God, you know how wind is down here at the coast. All right, well, we'll go play it anyways. Get all the way out to the field. The one thing I forgot, the nut on the blade holder bolt. Fuck. I gotta go back home and see if I can get one. Ah, Jesus. Well, that was fortunate. I have nothing in my RC box for that big ass nut and a lock nut to begin with. So I thought, oh, what the hell? I'll look through all my junk piles of stuff. And 30 seconds goes by and I'm like, oh, this one's this one's standard, this one's standard. I'm not gonna be able to get anything. And the store that I go to buy one from doesn't open up until 10. It's like, shit. Lo and behold, the last one that I looked at, which I thought was too small, was perfect. So now I have my nut, my bolt, and my nut on here. So we're gonna try it out. Are we going? Yeah. One of these mornings is blowing like hell. We're all fueled up. Test out the new batteries.
Receiver bound.
There we go. Shit's working. Up, down, forward, backwards, left, right. Tail seems to be working.
Brake mode.
Jack's gonna try to take out his little old ass freaking thing that it's still brand new in the box. All right, let's see if we can carry this bitch out here without getting a damn hernia. And my bolt and my stuff is on there. Hot damn. Oh, Jesus. Ugh. All right, we're gonna try this.
Ground idle. Flight RPM. Ground idle.
We'll see how this works. See if it'll even light off with that much air going through it. Oh, there it goes, it's trying. Oh, you fucker. Blew it out. Time will tell if turning that thing will work. All right, got it fired up again. All right, here we go. Does it look smoother? It's not gusty or windy or anything. Okay, slow down. Y'all can see the flag there. Look at how windy it is. I gotta pull it back just to get the damn thing to slow down. Be curious to see how the tail is. Seems really smooth. All right, and we'll check the tail rotor and all that stuff and see where the heat's at. Ah, that side's hotter. That's still a little warm. This one's definitely tighter, but this one's warmer now. But this, yeah, the heat's back on here. It's soft, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it is. But this is tighter than what it was, but the heat's back over on this side now, so that's good. That's what we want.
I didn't wipe it.
Oh, really? Did I get fingerprints?
There's fingerprints on there.
Bummer.
Put some WD-40 or some shit on there and then fire it back up.
Yeah.
And
Reburn it in. Damn it. That's okay. Looked like it was smoother.
It does. Well, the biggest tail difference is that, because that thing was constantly, before it was constantly moving, and now
it's moving a little bit, but not as
every once in a while.
Yeah. So maybe that Rotor Pro is good. The Koll Rotor Pro.
Yeah.
All right.
So your tail's not vibrating nearly as much as it did. That side's hotter. That's still a little warm. Yeah, the heat's back on here. Yep.
Well, considering how the last 24 hours have gone on that helicopter, all the shit actually worked that I did. The batteries worked good. The blades were all in balance. It seemed like it wasn't vibrating as much. And the exhaust blew to the frickin' left side like I wanted it to. It's still heating everything up, but it's not as bad as it was. So, all in all, yeah, not bad. So now I can go home and relax and do all the other shit I was supposed to do yesterday. But I didn't because I was working on my helicopters. All right, you get out there and build something.